Tennessee lawmakers are getting a lot of backlash for voting to expel 2 black Democratic representatives for taking part in peaceful protest against gun violence. Thursday evening, Republicans voted to expel State Representative Justin Jones and State Representative Justin Pearson. They also tried to expel a third, Gloria Johnson, but that vote had failed. Gloria Johnson happens to be white. All 3 of them were charged with violating House decorum by basically standing in the well and speaking in support of thousands of protesters 1 week earlier about, of course, doing something about the gun violence. Now, following that vote, Pearson and Jones both spoke out. I've got excerpts from that. Take a look.
You cannot ignore the racial dynamic of what happened today. 2 young black lawmakers get expelled and the 1 white woman does not. That's a statement in and of itself. We can never normalize the ending of democracy. We can never normalize the tyranny of the way that these people in positions of power are operating due to white supremacy and due to the maintenance of patriarchy.
You know, if I didn't know what happened to me, I would think it was 1963, not 2023, that a predominantly, almost entirely white Republican caucus expelled the 2 youngest black lawmakers, not for any unethical or criminal behavior, but for our First Amendment activity and for standing and doing our job to speak up for our constituents and to speak up particularly for young people who are terrified of these weapons of war on our streets.
So now, of course, look, they're really, really good at, of course, defending themselves and speaking out for their communities, and both very incredibly powerful speakers. So I love it. But it's not just them. Others have rallied to their defense. In fact, we actually have progressives and establishment Democrats rallying around these 2 young black lawmakers. In fact, we're going to start out with Representative Rashida Tlaib saying, quote, "This is fascism. Expelling your political opponents for demanding action on gun violence when children are dying is disgusting." Representative Summer Lee of Pennsylvania called it, quote, "straight up fascism in its ugliest, most racist form." There's no justification for ousting 2 legislators who were protesting with and for their constituents. That 2 black men were expelled for standing up against the murder of children, but not their white counterpart, says it all. People are dying because Republicans want to put politics over the lives of people they represent. They ask for safety for themselves, but not for school children, and they'll sacrifice the lives of our loved ones for their lobbyists. Representative Jim McGovern said, quote, "This is fascism, full stop. MAGA Republicans are no longer content with an action on gun violence. Instead of thoughts and prayers, they want to silence and expel politicians who speak up to protect children. I vehemently condemn this racist, undemocratic assault on freedom of speech." Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez weighed in. Quote, "Republicans may think that they won today in Tennessee, but their fascism is only further radicalizing and awakening an earthquake of young people, both in the South and across the nation. If you thought youth organizing was strong, just wait for what's coming." So now there's again a mix of progressives, but wait, even the White House weighed in. Whoa. In fact, President Biden released a statement, quote, "Today's expulsion of lawmakers who engaged in peaceful protests is shocking, undemocratic, and without precedent. Rather than debating the merits of the issue, these Republican lawmakers have chosen to punish, silence, and expel duly elected representatives of the people of Tennessee. A majority of Americans want lawmakers to act on common sense gun safety reforms, but instead, we've continued to see Republican officials across America double down on dangerous bills that make our schools, places of worship, and communities feel less safe. Our kids continue to pay the price." That's not all. Here comes Obama. That's right. Obama. Here's what he put out in a tweet. Quote, "What happened in Tennessee is the latest example of a broader erosion of civility and democratic norms. Silencing those who disagree with us is a sign of weakness, not strength, and it won't lead to progress." So, look, the whole idea of Republicans using civility as a reason to expel them is just ridiculous. And so, like, I hear the civility argument, and it's like, no. You understand? That's the argument they're using against these young black men, these young black lawmakers who were duly elected, and now those constituents that they represent do not have representation anymore. But anyway, there's more. One, as I mentioned, some of them had talked about legality. Well, is it illegal? It turns out, might be. Former U.S. Attorney Joyce Vance wrote that, quote, what happened in Tennessee on Thursday was outrageous and stupid and petty, and then the legislature went on to advertise her racism. It was also illegal. So, again, Vance is a professor of law and contributor for MSNBC/NBC News. She said, quote, it shouldn't take long for the next stage of this play to play out in the courts, but that shouldn't excuse the fact that it happened in the first place. All right, so now, Republicans, again, are claiming that, oh, my decorum. But also, some of them have claimed that this protest was not a protest, but an insurrection, that these people are insurrectionists. Last week, Tennessee Republican House Speaker Cameron Sexton and other House Republicans compared this to the Capitol riots, which left several police injured and resulted in millions of dollars of damage. That's the Capitol riots. Whereas, how many people were injured and arrested during the protests in Tennessee? Well, according to the Tennessee Highway Patrol, on last Friday, noted that the protests at the state capitol on Thursday were peaceful with zero property damage or arrests. Oops. Quote, this is Lieutenant Bill Miller, THP Public Information Officer. It was a loud demonstration, but resolved peacefully. It was resolved with no arrests and no damaged property. Look, all of these protests were peaceful. That's it. They were peaceful. In fact, I want to show you a compilation here of what Republicans considered an insurrection.
Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough!
When you're not strong, I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on.
It's not an issue of left or right, it's a moral issue of right and wrong. The majority of Tennesseans support common sense gun legislation. Thursday, when thousands of students and mothers and parents and grandparents showed up to the Capitol peacefully,
It won't be long.
Yes. To call for an end to the terror, for an end to school children being massacred on the House floor. All they had were moments of silence.
Kids are still in body.